income tax. This we consider one of the most essential taxes laid upon the people, and also equitable. No taxpayer is so well able to pay a tax as the income taxpayer. It is perhaps an inherited fortune that places him in this position, or it may be through ability that he is able to render to the assessor his thousands of yearly accumulations. If these riches are honestly obtained, any man has a right to be thankful, and feel also a fair amount of honest pride if, through his ability, he succeed to this honorable wealth and position. At the same time, let him not forget those less fortunate, or those who have less ability to bring to their assistance in their struggle for a livelihood. An income should be strictly an income, over and above all expenses. We are not sure an exemption of $2,000 is correct in principle. One fact we are sure of, and that is, whatever is expended for the necessaries of life, no matter whether more or less, the amount so expended has paid all the tax anybody should desire to put upon it, and this through the process of equating or distributing, which reaches the rich and poor alike upon articles consumed. This distribution of taxes can never be made equitable. We may add an income tax which will serve to equalize the tax of distribution by placing it upon the incomes of the year past, which will, in a measure, rest where it is placed, and upon those best able to pay. In determining the net income, house rent should not be charged as an expense. If the party who lived in the house owned it, the rent would balance the income. If the party did not own the house he lived in, it should be charged as an expense. Merchants doing business in their own stores would be subject to the same rule. Stock owned, the same. All men of small means, and those dependent upon their daily labor for a livelihood, are paying an unproportional tax upon everything they consume. That is to say, every property holder adds to his rent, interest, taxes, and depreciation, or wear and tear of property, whenever the competition in business will allow this privilege. The tenants add these expenses to the price of their goods, in addition to a living profit, as we have before remarked. Therefore, the taxpayer who gets his $12 a week, takes this money Saturday night, and goes to his grocer and provision dealer, and pays each $4 in settlement of their weekly bills, to his landlord $1.50 for rent of tenement, and the balance is paid for fuel and clothing. What amount of income tax does this laborer pay? If a proportional amount of income tax to this was mixed with the daily food of a millionaire, it would require the severest kind of manual labor to keep him from becoming a confirmed dyspeptic. The distributive tax commences with the United States Customs, is then added to by the importer, property holder, wholesale and retail dealers. As a matter of opinion, we believe we are correct in saying that 1/3, on an average, of the value of all articles consumed, are taxes assessed. And through this distributive system, equally assessed upon the rich and poor, a large amount of our yearly taxes are laid. Now, any means by which we can relieve the necessity of placing a distributive tax, no matter how small, upon the articles consumed, will relieve the taxpayer of small means, through that ever faithful servant, competition. The income, or profit tax, as we may call it, is a source through which all taxpayers below this may look for a just relief from some of their unjust burdens. Through this and the debtors' lien, we may be able to require of the wealthy taxpayer a share somewhere near their just proportion, without their being able to shift the burdens of taxation so completely upon others, or to conceal their property as heretofore. Neither should the wealthy attempt longer to force degradation upon poverty. It is high time that a change was inaugurated, and a just, if not a charitable, system of taxation adopted. In order that an efficient assessment of an income tax may be made, we will have to ask of the debtors and creditors to render to their assessors a sworn statement, each year, of the debts they owe, and the credits due, the amounts, who to, and who from, and their residence or place of domicile. This statement to be forwarded by the local assessors to the state commissioners of taxes in such condensed form, and under such rules and regulations as seems best adapted to accomplish the object, and the compared, and all incomes throughout the state there ascertained and assessed. These assessments to be sent by the commissioner to the collectors of the several towns wherein the persons taxed have their domiciles, and by them collected and paid over to the town's treasurer. All such sworn statements to be subject to the inspection of the proper person having the work in charge, and none others, unless there seems to be a necessity. This is merely an outline, as we see it, of the most feasible way to get at the facts. We must admit we have not examined this part of the subject sufficiently to recommend just what should be adopted as the proper method. Neither are we prepared to say what the exemption should be, but it appears to us that whatever it costs any taxpayer to support his household during the year the computations are made should be deducted as expenses. The income tax is a distinct tax from all others, and should be assessed upon the net income over and above all expenses of every name and nature. The object is to make it just, and then require a strict fulfillment of the law, under a severe penalty. We believe it should not change the right to tax such net income, notwithstanding it may accrue from property already taxed during the year. This is a tax upon actual profits, no matter from what source they accrue. Many large incomes are derived wholly from real estate already taxed, wherein the owner may have been able to distribute most of the tax upon his tenants. To tax this income as a separate profit tax would surely come under the head of just and equitable taxation, and is really necessitated in order to counteract that of distribution. It is the only means by which we can place a proportional tax upon the capitalists according to their ability to pay. A businessman may have a business amounting to $1 million, yet during the year make no profit, through losses or other circumstances. If this occurs, a clear statement of the facts should be made in the sworn statement, that it may be verified if necessary. These statements would also be verified by the statements themselves. If more property was found in the possession of the party giving in his income than was accounted for in his statements, the belief would be that correct statements had not been handed in. At the Workingmen's Convention, held at Boston, October 11, 1877, we find the 6th article of their resolves passed demands as follows. We demand, that, so far as it comes within the state domain, indirect taxation of all kinds shall be abolished, and a single direct, progressive income tax be substituted therefor. This is short, comprehensive, and to the point. It is equitable. If we could establish each taxpayer's income correctly. It is the most difficult tax we have to assess, as regards facts to base it upon. And from the amount of investigation we have given the subject, we believe the system we have recommended is the best adapted to ascertain the true amount of income to be assessed. The debtor's lien which we recommend may be considered an indirect tax, but it in fact accomplishes direct taxation. Therefore it comes within the true meaning of the workingmen's demand. They demand neither more nor less than that each taxpayer shall be assessed according to his ability to pay. Many income taxpayers no doubt will object to rendering such an account of their business as will be required to ascertain the amount of this tax, and also that of personal property, but we can see no other method feasible, and there seems to be no alternative. This trouble and expense must be incurred, because some will not give in their true income without, and we must make the tax equitable and efficient. If not this, it will become of bad repute, and create among those willing to live up to the letter of the law a just indignation against a law which only protects rogues, through its inefficiency, which is apparent, through the inability of the assessors to enforce its principles. Should our readers require a proof of our sincerity in advocating the equity and justice of this tax, we do solemnly aver and ever pray to be subjected yearly to its pains and penalties.